Welcome back to the Explainer. Okay, picture this. You've just sent out this incredibly detailed, carefully crafted project brief to a handful of web design agencies. You sit back, wait a few days, and then the quotes roll in. But when you open them up, they look like they were pulled from completely different universes. It's a wildly common experience when you're shopping around for an Elementor website, and honestly, it can make you feel like you're losing your mind. But today, we're pulling back the curtain. We've got some insider pricing secrets straight from the experts over at Viral Chili, and we are going to break down exactly how these pricing models actually work.
Right, so this is the $15,000 question. You call 3 agencies with the exact same requirements. One quotes you $2,000, another says $8,000, and the third comes in at $15,000. No way, right? It's incredibly frustrating. But here's the secret we've discovered. That huge gap isn't just random guesswork. Every single one of those numbers reflects highly specific decisions that an agency has made, how they operate, the tools they invest in, and exactly who they are trying to serve. We are going to look at where every single dollar of that quote goes.
So here is our roadmap for demystifying all these costs. 1. The build and the builders. 2. The hidden variables. 3. The long game. And finally, 4. Evaluating quotes. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The build and the builders. We're talking complexity, size, and expertise.
Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you've got a first-year freelancer. They might grab a pre-made Elementor template, tweak a few colors, and call it a day. It's fast, and sure, it's affordable. But on the other end, you have a veteran agency. Think of an industry leader like Viral Chili. And they are building a custom design completely from scratch. They aren't just slapping together a working site, they're engineering a growth tool. They know exactly how to structure layouts for peak performance and, crucially, how to avoid messy plugin conflicts. You know, when different bits of website code basically start a turf war and completely crash your page. When you hire the experts, you aren't just paying an hourly rate. You're paying for their ability to creatively solve problems and sidestep those incredibly costly mistakes down the line.
And honestly, this number brilliantly illustrates why that Viral Chili level of expertise is an absolute must. 88%. Think about walking into a physical store where it's super messy, the aisles don't make sense, and you can't find the register. You'd turn right around and leave, wouldn't you? Well, the web is literally no different. A staggering 88% of users will simply not return to a website after a bad experience. When top-tier agencies spend that extra time on custom animations, seamless interactive elements, or a totally original design, they are actively preventing you from losing customers. Paying a premium for an expert team focused on high-quality user experience? That's not a sunk cost. It's a direct investment in keeping your audience engaged.
Beyond the expertise, there's just the sheer physical size of the build. A simple 3-page brochure website is going to cost exponentially less than a 10-page site, because every single time you add a new page, the requirements don't just step up, they jump. You aren't just copy-pasting some words. You're adding design time, you're integrating new content, and crucially, you're triggering extensive cross-device testing to make absolute sure it looks flawless on every phone, tablet, and ultra-wide monitor out there. If you need separate, custom templates for your blog posts, your portfolio, and your testimonials, well, the hours and ultimately your final quote are going to scale right up with it.
Moving right along to Part 2, the hidden variables. This covers location, content, and timelines.
First up, let's look at the market as a whole. About 61% of small business buyers actually kept their most recent website build under the $10,000 mark. But how you arrive at that number is heavily dependent on geography. It's a massive hidden variable. An agency sitting in a high-cost hub like San Francisco or London carries some serious overhead. Local salary expectations, premium office space, you name it. They might quote you $12,000. Meanwhile, a solid Elementor agency based in Eastern Europe or India might quote you $3,000 for the exact same set of deliverables. Both of those quotes are actually completely fair in their respective markets. You just have to understand a fundamental reality of the web design business. Part of what you're paying for is the agency's zip code.
Now, here's where things get really interesting: the incredible impact of words. A lot of people think they are purely paying for the visual design, but content strategy is a massive cost driver. Some agencies just expect you to hand over a Word document with all your text ready to go. Boom, done. Others, however, bundle in a full content strategy consultation and professional copywriting. Adding that strategic, high-quality copy can easily bump your project's price tag by $1,500 to $5,000, depending on the site size.
And why is that extra budget for words such an absolute game changer right now? Well, currently, a whopping 50% of Google searches are delivering AI summaries instead of those traditional blue links we're all used to. Because of that, your strategic messaging matters more than it ever has before. A beautifully designed website with weak generic content, it's practically invisible today.
but a well-written, authoritative site that actually gets pulled into those AI summaries, that's going to generate substantially more leads. It turns that premium copywriting from an added expense into a critical lead-generating business asset.
Okay, timeline is your next major variable, and time is literally money here. A standard website build might take, say, 8 weeks, but if you suddenly need it done in a 2-week rush, you are absolutely going to pay for it. To hit a compressed deadline, an agency has to pull extra developers, pay overtime, or charge a premium just to bump your project ahead of their other clients. Plus, if you're dealing with a highly sought-after agency with a long waitlist, their demand is greater than their supply, which naturally raises the price. Basically, poor planning or a last-minute panic on your end is going to directly inflate your budget. We've all been there, but in the web design world, rushing the clock carries a very real price tag.
All right, part 3, the long game. Let's talk about post-launch support.
Support structures look incredibly different depending on who you hire. Some agencies will basically hand over the digital keys, give you 30 days of basic support for minor bug fixes, and then wish you luck. Others, however, build comprehensive annual maintenance packages right into their initial fees. We're talking active security monitoring, consistent plugin updates so things don't break, performance optimization, and even regular content tweaks. Now yeah, this makes that initial quote look quite a bit higher, but paying for proactive support up front is like buying a massive shield for your business. Over time, it is almost always cheaper than paying sky-high emergency hourly rates when a neglected plugin inevitably takes your whole site down 6 months from now.
Which brings us to part 4, the verdict. How to evaluate those quotes sitting in your inbox.
When you're staring at 3 very different proposals, you have to play detective for a minute. You need to look way past the bottom line dollar amount. Because agencies structure things so differently, a $5,000 quote might actually include services that a different agency would charge you $8,000 for. You've got to ask them point blank, what exactly is included here? What specifically is going to cost me extra? What is your firm policy on revisions? And how do you handle scope creep? And most importantly, what happens on day 31, right after the honeymoon phase of the launch is over?
Now, if you are determined to get that premium, viral chili level quality, but your budget is a bit tight, here is your game plan. Step 1. Be obsessively clear about your requirements up front. Ambiguity leads to scope creep, and scope creep leads to massive invoices. Step 2. Don't demand a fully custom, from-scratch design if you don't actually need one. Consider using premium Elementor templates as a really robust starting point to save on design hours. And Step 3. Phase your project out. Build and launch the core essential pages first, and then strategically allocate your budget to add those fancy advanced features a little later down the line.
At the end of the day, a high-quality website is meant to drive your business growth for years. Keep in mind, the cheapest option usually means someone, somewhere, is cutting corners behind the scenes, whether that's slacking on the user experience, skipping security protocols, or rushing the testing phase. So, as you look at those quotes and weigh all 7 of these factors we just covered, I want you to ask yourself one final thing. Are you just shopping for a price tag, or are you actually investing in a true growth engine for your business? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.